The Jurassic period, also known as the Jura, is one of the most fascinating eras.
After watching the famous movie Jurassic Park, many people might think the Earth was only filled with dinosaurs.
But in reality, that is not entirely the case, even though it is called the Age of Reptiles.
First, we need to understand that the Jurassic period, the second stage of the Mesozoic era, was long. It began about 201.3 million years ago and lasted 56 million years.
The name Jura comes from the Jura Mountains located in Switzerland and France.
This is where the first fossils of this period were discovered and studied by scientists.
The Jurassic period is divided into 3 epochs: Lower, Middle, and Upper Jurassic. The first epoch, the Lower Jurassic, lasted from 201 to 174 million years ago. During this time, life was recovering from the devastating Triassic-Jurassic extinction event. That extinction had wiped out about half of all species on Earth at the time.
However, the warm and humid climate of the Jurassic helped life recover rapidly. The oceans and warm seas became filled with diverse marine life once again. Ammonites, fish, and marine reptiles flourished in the vast marine ecosystems. These creatures dominated the seas, adapting to various ecological niches. On land, reptiles, including dinosaurs, quickly took over the empty habitats. They filled the ecological voids left by the previous mass extinction. In the air, some reptiles developed wings and took to the skies.
The early Jurassic marked the golden age of reptiles on our planet. They inhabited every continent, adapting to diverse climates, even Antarctica. Some species reached incredible sizes and proportions during this era, while others evolved into strange, unique, and sometimes bizarre forms. These prehistoric creatures remain a great mystery to humanity today. The dinosaurs of the early Jurassic are a fascinating part of Earth's history.
During this time, the supercontinent Pangaea began to break apart. Shallow seas filled the gaps between the separating landmasses. The continents slowly began to take their modern shapes and positions. Deep ocean basins formed, separating Africa, South America, and Antarctica.
This continental drift was accompanied by intense volcanic activity worldwide.
In Eurasia, basins like the North Sea and Paris Basin were formed. The Arctic Ocean also flooded the northern coasts of Laurasia. In North America, the Rocky Mountains and Andes began to rise. Volcanoes released massive amounts of carbon dioxide into the atmosphere. In North America, the Rocky Mountains and Andes began to rise. The Jurassic climate was about 5 to 10 degrees warmer than today. Carbon dioxide levels were 4 times higher than pre-industrial levels. Rainfall was much more frequent and intense than in the Triassic. The Earth enjoyed a warm, humid, tropical and subtropical climate. Vast areas of the planet were covered by lush, green vegetation. Dense jungles and forests of giant trees dominated the landscape. The flora consisted mainly of seed ferns and non-flowering woody plants.
Unlike animals, plants did not suffer major extinctions during the transition.
The high temperatures and humidity allowed plants to grow massive.
Cycads were the most common plants in tropical and subtropical regions.
Their golden age began in the Jurassic and lasted into the Cretaceous. They reached their peak diversity during the Early Jurassic epoch. Cycads looked very similar to modern palm trees in appearance. This similarity led early botanists to misclassify them as palms.
In addition, ginkgo trees grew in temperate climate zones.
Their fan-shaped leaves were distinct from other types of trees. However, only one species of ginkgo survives to this day.
Along with cycads and ginkgos, ancient conifers also flourished.
These trees looked very similar to modern pines and firs. During the transition, they evolved rapidly and became highly diverse. In East Asia, a now extinct conifer species dominated the forests.
Unlike modern conifers, it had broad leaves and shed them seasonally.
The rich plant life provided ideal conditions for animal explosion.
Insects, in particular, experienced a massive boom in diversity.
There is no evidence of major insect extinctions during this transition.
Thus, Jurassic forests and wetlands were teeming with diverse insects.
Imagine giant dragonflies hunting for prey over the water's surface.
Herbivorous beetles gathered in bushes, feeding on lush leaves. Spiders and scorpions lay in wait, ready to ambush their prey.
In the seas, ancient scorpions hunted for small marine organisms. During this time, the first true butterflies also appeared on Earth.
However, they were not as colorful or beautiful as modern ones.
There were also creatures that looked like modern butterflies, but weren't.
This can be explained by a fascinating evolutionary phenomenon called convergent evolution.
These butterfly-like creatures flew, behaved, and even pollinated like butterflies.
But they actually belonged to an entirely different group of insects.
Their closest modern relatives are actually lacewings, not butterflies.
At that time, flowering plants had not yet appeared on Earth.
Only small, non-specialized flowers existed, unadapted to insect pollination. However, non-flowering plants, like conifers, produced sweet nectar. This nectar attracted the ancient butterfly-like insects of the Jurassic.
Convergent evolution is when unrelated species develop similar traits to adapt.
They evolve in similar directions due to living in similar environments. That is why unrelated species can look almost identical to each other. A classic example of convergent evolution is the tenrec of Madagascar. From a common ancestor, tenrecs evolved into many different forms. Some look like shrews, others like hedgehogs, or even otters. Their physical traits evolved to match their specific lifestyles and habitats. If you place a tenrec and a hedgehog side by side, they look identical. Yet, they are not closely related at all in the evolutionary tree. In fact, tenrecs are more closely related to elephants than hedgehogs. This is a remarkable demonstration of nature's evolutionary power. Similarly, the ancient butterfly-like insects of the Jurassic had broad wings. They had scales and camouflage patterns just like modern butterflies.
But they belong to an entirely different evolutionary lineage.
These examples show that evolution always finds the most optimal path.
It selects the best traits for survival in a given environment.
This means that if we ever find another Earth-like planet, we might encounter creatures that look strange, yet very familiar.
They would have evolved similar solutions to similar environmental challenges. The laws of physics and biology would guide their evolutionary paths, creating a world of wonders that we can only begin to imagine.
During the early Jurassic, amphibians began to decline on land.
Many species went extinct, leaving only a few lineages behind. These included primitive salamanders, frogs, and legless caecilians. They survived by adapting to burrowing or aquatic lifestyles. Among the marine invertebrates, brachiopods were still common. Some species reached up to 3 meters in length. A giant fossil discovered in Lesotho, Africa, was estimated at 7 meters. This remains the largest brachiopod fossil ever found in history. Brachiopods had a flat body and a unique shell structure. Their mouths had sharp teeth to filter food from the water. Although they flourished in the early Jurassic, their numbers declined later. Meanwhile, reptiles on land and in the seas evolved rapidly. Before dinosaurs dominated, other reptiles were highly diverse. They dominated the land, the seas, and even the skies. True monsters inhabited the warm seas of the Jurassic period. They were terrifying, yet majestic in their own unique way. After surviving the Triassic extinction, They recovered rapidly.
One of the most prominent groups was the ichthyosaurs, or fish lizards. There were many different species of ichthyosaurs in the oceans. On average, they were about 2 to 4 meters in length. But some species evolved into truly giant proportions.
The largest known species was Shonosaurus, reaching 15 meters.
The absolute champion was Shastasaurus, reaching 21 meters in length. Some ichthyosaurs had a very strange and unique appearance. Their bodies resembled sharks, but their heads were like crocodiles.
They had long, narrow snouts filled with sharp teeth. They can be seen as a strange joke of nature, like the platypus.
A notable feature of ichthyosaurs was their extremely large eyes.
Their eyes were protected by a ring of bone called a sclerotic ring.
This helped them hunt in the dark and dive to great depths.
With an eye diameter of up to 25 centimeters.
Some species could see at depths of over 1,000 meters.
Where humans would only see complete and utter darkness.
At these depths, light intensity is less than 1% of the surface.
While reptiles dominated the land and oceans, pterosaurs ruled the skies.
Pterosaurs had appeared in the Triassic and became common in the Jurassic. They evolved into many different species with unique wing shapes.
Some species had long tails, while others had short tails.
They mainly fed on fish and small land animals. On land, reptiles evolved into a wide variety of forms.
Some species had long tails, while others had short tails.
Ancient turtles looked very similar to modern ones in appearance. Scientists have identified over 900 genera of dinosaurs and more than 1,000 species of non-avian dinosaurs.
In the early Jurassic, they quickly filled the empty ecological niches.
There is a common misconception that all dinosaurs were giants.
But in reality, they came in all shapes and sizes. Some species were no larger than a modern chicken. While others evolved into truly giant, terrifying monsters.
Most dinosaurs during this era were carnivorous predators, while herbivorous species moved slowly, feeding on lush vegetation. About 180 million years ago, a unique sauropod lived in Zimbabwe.
This was Vulcanodon, a medium-sized herbivorous dinosaur.
It had a typical sauropod body with a long neck and tail. Volcanodon was one of the first sauropods discovered in Africa.
Its name means volcano tooth in Latin.
Because its fossils were found embedded in volcanic sandstone. At that time, the region was a hot, dry desert environment. It was not the most hospitable environment for life to flourish.
However, there were still some green oases and water sources.
Volcanodon was about 6.5 meters in length and weighed about 2.5 tons. Some scientists estimate it could reach 11 meters in length.
Despite being a herbivore, it was not safe from predators. It was often hunted by large carnivorous dinosaurs of the time. Evidence of predation was found with its first fossil discovery.
A predator's tooth was found near its pelvic bone.
Suggesting that the Volcanodon was attacked and killed by a predator. Its skull and neck bones were missing from the fossil site. This suggests the predator may have carried away its head. A common behavior observed in many carnivorous dinosaurs.
This is why the Volcanodon was named after its killer's tooth. A fascinating story of prehistoric life and death on Earth.
In North America, the dominant predator was Dilophosaurus. It lived about 190 million years ago in Arizona. Dilophosaurus was a formidable predator with high speed and agility. It specialized in hunting small herbivorous dinosaurs. Its name meant two-crested lizard in Greek, referring to the two bony crests on its skull. These crests may have been used for display and mating rituals, similar to the crests of modern iguanas and roosters,
or the colorful frills of modern frilled lizards.
Dilophosaurus was about 7 meters in length. And weighed about 400 kilograms.
It was the largest predator of its time in North America.
Often called the T-Rex of the early Jurassic.
Despite its size, it could not easily hunt armored dinosaurs, unless it hunted in pairs or small packs. For smaller prey, Dilophosaurus was a terrifying predator.
Its long, narrow jaws helped it catch prey quickly.
With its high speed and agility, it was highly successful. Analysis of its jaw fossils suggests it also ate fish and other small marine organisms when land prey was scarce. It was a highly adaptable and successful predator. Coelophysis was a small, lightweight theropod dinosaur. It lived during the late Triassic and early Jurassic epochs. It was one of the earliest and most successful dinosaurs.